Welcome back to another episode of Believe in TCU. I'm Zion Trammell with my co-host Seth Dowdle. We've got a TCU basketball episode for you all today. First time we've done one since our season preview with Nick Giramonte talking men's and women's hoops. We're going to do that here today because there's no TCU football this week. We're off and we're gonna switch to hoops for the week.
We are. It's bit of a shift, bit of we gotta alter our perspective a little bit. We've been talking about 8-4 TCU. Well, now we're talking about 5-2 TCU, and 2 losses ain't that bad. Well, one of them's terrible.
One of them was bad, and we're referring to TCU men's basketball, which is where we will start off because this has been such a crazy start to the first 7 games. We're not even in conference play yet.
No.
We're in the non-con schedule, and it's been such a bizarre start for TCU men's basketball in a good way. They started off the year with a terrible loss to New Orleans. At home, they lost 78-74. Inexplicable. I mean, genuinely inexplicable. They lost that game. Vibes were bad.
Terrible.
They were terrible, and I don't blame fans at all. I was like, what is going on? They came back. They destroyed St. Francis on TNT. I don't know why that game was on TNT, why Brian Anderson was calling that game.
In
But
person.
hey, I'm not.
They brought this man before. They flew this man out for TCU St. Francis.
Yeah. And they responded well, beat Lamar, and then they took on Michigan at home. And everyone kind of thought Michigan was the 6th ranked team in the country. Everyone kind of thought it was going to be a blowout. They kept it close. They lost 67-63. Offense kind of fell off there in the second half. But you're like, okay, that's weird. And then they take on the reigning national champs.
Well, you forget
Thanksgiving.
that they played the Kansas City Roos in between, and they won by 40.
Yeah, that's true. They did. Sorry, I can't forget about
Kansas
that.
City Roos.
But then we got to the glorious feast week, Seth. And what happened on Thanksgiving?
Oh, what happened on Thanksgiving? The Cowboys beat the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah.
The Lions lost to the Packers. But in between all of that, a little scrappy men's basketball team from Fort Worth traveled to San Diego to play the reigning national champions, the Florida Gators, and they beat them by 4. Brock Harding hitting jumpers, go-ahead jumpers with like 40 seconds left to win basketball games. And here we are. Look at that. And then they beat Wisconsin the next day.
Which, to win the tournament, I don't know, the invitational, whatever it's called. They won it.
There will be a trophy for this season after all.
Yeah, there will be. Yeah. Look, I mean, obviously, like Florida lost a couple guys. They're still a good team. They came in 10th and they dropped to 15th because of us. Seth. They dropped because it's a quality loss to TCU.
Yes,
but in all seriousness, though, I mean, it's been a crazy start for men's basketball. I think what my takeaway so far is that New Orleans loss can be chalked up as just a really fluky, weird loss. To me, what I noticed from that game was there was a lot of just rustiness, I guess you could say. The execution was there. They were getting open looks. The half-court offense looked somewhat competent. They were getting good looks. They just were not cashing in, and the defense was pretty bad. And so I think there was a lot of worry after that game, and understandably so. But TCU could not shoot the 3, and since then, they've gotten a lot better. And I think this team could be pretty legit, and people are starting to take notice.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see tomorrow against Notre Dame if any of this was like if the past like kind of couple weeks was kind of just maybe just a blip on the radar and it's not real, or perhaps maybe this is something to watch out for as we go throughout the rest of the season. And listen, Notre Dame is no like powerhouse ACC school, but it's it's a Power 5 basketball team. It's coming to your house. It's a big name, and you got to go out and beat them. They got legit players, and you see how it goes. Uh, Game against North Texas, I think, also presents a similar challenge. That's a pretty good G5 basketball program over at Dickies Arena. So we'll see if this is for real here in the next couple of weeks. You know me, when it comes to this basketball program, I tend to tread lightly when it comes to making overarching statements about how things are going to go. Because as we've already seen, just in the past month alone, we've flip-flopped from lost to New Orleans, skies falling, fire Jamie Dixon, to, okay, this team might be really legit, could make a run in the tournament. Maybe not run in the tournament. We could make the tournament, maybe win a couple games. So we've switched, we've flip-flopped already, and we're not even to January yet. So I can't even imagine the roller coaster that we're about to embark on with this basketball team if it continues this way. Now, again, you hope that this is just the climb and there's not going to be any fall at any point in time, or that this is just going to be how it is for the rest of the year. But we're just going to have to see. And I think the rest of the non-con presents a pretty decent challenge, at least these next two games. And then you get Baylor on January 3rd. To open it up. And we've talked extensively when we talk about basketball, what those opening games of conference play present. They present a challenge for sure.
They do. And this is a young team, so there will be ups and downs. And it's not, like you mentioned, that beginning to conference play is really tough. And it starts up here in about a month. So, you've got a time to kind of put it all together. Notre Dame is the last, really tough test. I know Notre Dame is 6-3, but they've had a tough non-conference schedule. They lost to Ohio State by 1. They lost to Kansas, and they played Houston. So they've played some legit competition here in their beginning of the season. So I'm not going to sit up here and say that I know everything there's to know about Notre Dame men's basketball, but if you just look at record alone and say, oh, well, they're 6-3, well, they've played some good teams. So this is going to be a really good test for TCU. And we kind of were wondering why this year that TCU had matchups with Notre Dame, with Michigan, with Florida in the non-con schedule. And we're seeing glimpses of it. Jamie Dixon and this staff feels pretty confident in the team that they have. We'll just see if they can, like you mentioned, consistently put it together and produce a contender in the Big 12.
For real, yeah. Which, no matter how good TCU men's basketball is, they've been trying to eclipse that 9-9, 8-10 mark in conference play. So we'll see if they can do that this time. Obviously, that's a long way away. We got about a month before that even starts. But yeah, we'll see how it goes with Notre Dame tomorrow, then North Texas next week. I'm excited to see what the future holds for TCU men's basketball, which is not something I thought I'd say after that loss to New Orleans earlier in the year. By the way, I think we need to do a check-in on New Orleans basketball.
How are they doing? That's a good question. Maybe they're a legit contender.
They are 2-6.
Who's their other win?
Tulane.
Hey, beat Tulane.
They lost to LSU by 40. They lost to Texas Tech by 32. And they lost to Memphis by 12. They lost to Mississippi State by 3. They have not played a home game.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But they are 2-6.
So you're saying that it's not a quality loss?
What I'm saying is that I don't want to dwell on the past too much, because obviously I think that beating Florida kind of outweighs a loss, or to some extent, it helps make up that bad game. but I think it cannot be stated that you were talking about how, yes, it was clear that they were rusty. They weren't making shots. They were rusty, and the defense was bad. But even at that point, TCU should still be good enough to beat New Orleans.
No, I agree.
Even when you're rusty, even when you're, and I know that you weren't trying to defend it. I think you were, just trying to give reasons for it. But even then, super bad loss, and it could be a reason why TCU drops down a couple seeds in the tournament. Should we get to that point? It is that bad of a loss to where it really, unless TCU goes on an otherworldly run the rest of the way, really puts a damper on where they could be in the tournament if they should get there.
Yeah, you needed that win against Florida to kind of help you out a little bit, help that resume. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about the team itself, because we've talked about storylines, what the games have looked like, and I have been really impressed with Brock Harding as the true point guard, playmaking point guard that he was brought in to be. He has lived up to that billing. 12 assists in the win over Florida. I think he had 5 assists in the win over Wisconsin. He's exactly the kind of guard that TCU's been sorely lacking, because, look, no offense to the point guards that have been here since Damian Baugh, but we've had shooting guards and scoring guards play the one. And I'm a little old-fashioned. I like a point guard that can distribute and run an offense, especially in college hoops. You need a guy that can see the floor well, can see the cuts, see the open looks, and can run an offense. And Brock Harding does that and a lot more. He's been fun to watch this season.
Yeah, and shout out Nikki G for telling us exactly that's what he was going to be. Compared him to Alex Robinson, who's one of the best point guards in TCU men's basketball history. He was an amazing facilitator. Alex Robinson was, and he played on one of the best TCU men's basketball teams of all time. That team in 2018 that was the first one to make the first TCU men's basketball team to make the tournament in decades. So, yeah, and he reminds me a lot of Alex Robinson. Reminds me a little bit of Damian Baugh as well. I think he's more like Damian in the way to where like he can also create a little bit himself, whereas Alex was much more of just a farm assists all game. So yeah, I've been super impressed with him. And you're right. I think TCU men's basketball plays its best when they have a player like that. I mean, those best teams were with players like that. And the last 2 years that were kind of unsuccessful didn't feature point guards that was their forte. They were, like you said, scoring guards or just a shooting guard playing the one instead. So shout out to Jamie Dixon for pulling him away from the beautiful place that is Iowa City, Iowa, and getting him here. Our very own Caitlin Clark, as I'm going to call him. But that might be, that's too much. But yeah, he's been playing super, super good ball and been an integral reason why TCU's been playing well over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's the only player in the country to be averaging 10 points, 6 assists, and 3 steals per game, at least, like those numbers. So the defense has also been there as well. Another guy who's really emerged and was on John Rothstein's radar, David Punch. He has been really, really solid as efficiently scoring as well. He had 17 points, 9 rebounds, a couple blocks in the win over Wisconsin, shot 7 of 11. Another guy that is an emerging star in Fort Worth. And I think some people saw it coming. And again, another guy that's lived up to the hype.
Yeah. If you're on John Rothstein's radar, I just want to say this. That's a good radar to be on.
It is a good radar.
It's a good radar to be on. David Punch, man, like, I remember when he was here last year, everyone was like, this is a guy who's super talented, but he's raw. He's super raw, and we just got to let him work. And, there were growing pains last year, and I think we're kind of seeing the fruit of all of that come together here this year to where he's TCU's leading scorer. He's averaging 7 rebounds a game, 2.3 blocks. super good games in the past couple weeks. Especially over the feast week. Scored 19 against Florida, 17 against Wisconsin. Awesome to see, especially after against Michigan, he was kind of invisible. For him to come out against those two top opponents and play super well was really, really good to see, and super efficient games as well. 77% and 63% of the fields, respectively. So, yeah, I mean, like this is kind of what a guy that TCU recruited, brought in themselves, playing super well is super encouraging to me because this has been kind of a transfer portal heavy team the past couple of years in terms of like the guys that are actually the ones that are the main contributors. And Brock Harding's one of those guys, but David Punch was here. He came in to play for TCU men's basketball from the very start, and I'm super excited that he is as promised right now. He's playing really well.
And that's going to be the key to success for TCU is they had a lot of returners. Micah Robinson coming back. He's been coming off the bench recently, and maybe not. I don't know his numbers, but I don't. It's not been exactly what fans had kind of hoped for. Jace Posey, he was huge in that win over Florida, and then he shot 0 for 7 against Wisconsin, but that's okay. It's 7 rebounds,
That's men's college basketball though. It is like for the I'm not going to call TCU average, but like for the middle of the pack teams that have players that aren't like superstar NBA, like first round NBA draft level, you're going to have ebbs and flows like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. He had 21 in the win over Florida and then 0. It's going to happen. But yeah, so I mean there's a couple other guys that, have kind of homegrown, developed here in the program, and this team has a little bit better shooting than they have in the past couple years. Jaden Pierre's had several double-digit scoring efforts, so we'll see. I'm impressed so far, Seth. It's outside of that loss, which you can't fully discredit because that could be the TCU team we get, and we'll see. But they're going to get a great test against Notre Dame on Friday, then North Texas on Sunday, and then ideally they should roll through the remainder of their 4 non-con games before opening up against Baylor in January.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm super pumped for the rest of it. I've said super a lot. If you'd be like, man, he's saying the word super a lot, trust me, I'm catching myself as well. Yeah, really excited for the rest of it. We'll see how they do against the Fighting Irish tomorrow, and the Mean Green next week, and then hopefully press the fast forward button through the rest of non-conference. Hopefully there's no speed bumps along the way. And then you get the Baylor game, the BYU game, Arizona, Kansas, all that really early in the Big 12 play. So we'll probably catch up with y'all about men's basketball, throughout the month a little bit, but really ramp it up when the new year hits.
Absolutely, and I felt like we needed to spend a little bit more time talking about those early games because we haven't mentioned it yet since. So, wanted to get up to speed there, and then once conference play hits, we'll really start to go heavy there on TC men's basketball. And yeah, that's a tough. I keep looking at it; it's scaring me, Seth.
It's tough.
A lot of ranked teams.
It's not anything that the men's team is particularly like that's not foreign to them to play super tough teams in conference play, because we were talking about this before we went on air. We were looking at the AP top 25 for the men's, and there's a lot of Big 12 teams that are present in that poll, and I anticipate that that'll be the case for much of the season. So, if not all of it, so TCU is going to have to go through a gauntlet should they want to play basketball in March and April. So we're just going to have to see how they handle that, because listen, those first 4 games against Baylor, Kansas, Arizona, and BYU, That's going to be your test. You got Houston coming up later. Iowa State's super good. K-State has shown that they can be a pretty formidable foe in the Big 12 as well. Don't sleep on West Virginia. We all know the history behind that program. Cincinnati has been able to sneak up on teams in the past too. So there, and UCF, I know Taco Fall isn't there anymore. That might be a deep cut, but who knows? Maybe they got a tall guy hanging around this year too. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But TCU's going to have a lot of opportunities to pick up some big wins starting tomorrow against Notre Dame.
All right. There is our men's basketball. We'll flip on over to TCU women's basketball, who is just rolling.
They're good. End of story.
I mean, we're going to keep it relatively brief because their season has kind of gone as the way we expected. 9-0 start, number 8 in the country, highlighted by a big win over NC State, in which they won by 10. And that's the closest game by a wide margin that this team has played. They beat Tennessee State 122-39.
Yeah, that one was rough. I had to write about that one. That was rough.
So they won by a lot.
Yeah, it was rough. It was a rough article.
They got out to an early lead and held it.
Yeah, that's saying something right there.
Back.
They never looked back. They never looked back. Literally, probably. Never had to worry about looking back. Yeah, 9-0, number 8 in the country. I'd say it took the pollsters or the media a little bit too long to realize that this team was once again legit. They were having around like 18-17 for a while there. They beat NC State and they climbed back up, and now they're at 8, which is kind of where the coaches poll had them always already to begin with. The coaches poll had them at like 11-10 even before they beat NC State, because I think the rest of the coaches, maybe this is giving the coaches a little bit too much credit, because I know that they like to mail in their poll. They don't try super hard. Why would they? They don't have time. And they kind of already respected TCU women's basketball, what Mark Campbell had assembled in year 3, in kind of the reload year where you're having to replace all that production from last year. And I'd say he's done so to amazing success. And this team is even deeper than it was last year. And I feel like it can score in ways that it couldn't last year too. I think that this is a super versatile basketball team. And I'm excited to see how they go throughout the rest of the year for sure.
They picked up an 84-56 win over Incarnate Word with Haley Van Lith in attendance.
Shout out.
It was cool to see her back in Fort Worth watching TCU women's hoops. Big reason I think that it took them the kind of media to realize that, oh, maybe they are just as good is mainly, I know a lot of people expected Olivia Miles to be as good as she's been. She's, I think, the first player I'm sorry. Now I gotta do this because she's averaging 15, or she's gotten 15 points and 5 assists through, I think, every game this season. Yeah, 9 straight games with at least 15 points and 5 assists. That's an NCAA record. She's having a really, really good start to the season. There is a moment in every TCU women's basketball game that I watch where I'm like, how did she make that pass? I mean, my jaw is on the floor. I think she just plays these games like it's street ball half the time. And it's just like, let's see what cool pass I can cook up this time. I'm going to whip it behind my head, no look, cross court that nobody saw. And Maddie Shear is wide open for a 3.
Yeah.
It is so cool to watch. Another guard in the TC basketball that can run an offense and distribute at an elite level.
Yeah, she's awesome. What a pull by Mark Campbell. How he wooed her over to Fort Worth from Notre Dame. Speaking of, we were talking about them earlier, is beyond me, but super happy to have her here in Fort Worth. But we kind of expected Olivia Miles, right, to be super good. We expected that. What I don't think like the media, national media, and maybe some even TCU fans expected was how good Marta Suarez is.
Exactly. That was going to be my point, and then I started talking about Olivia Miles. But yes,
I don't
Marta
think people
Suarez.
realize, and also Donovan Hunter has leveled up her performance from last year to kind of replace some of that production from last year as well. But Marta Suarez, for real, I mean, she was averaging around 12, 13 points at Cal last year, and that's up to 19 and almost touching 20 at this point right now in the season. I know it's early. We've only played 9 games, and half of that is against teams that TCU is always going to beat. But man, it has been super impressive to see her, especially kind of emerge onto the scene here as someone that is going to be an integral part of this TCU women's basketball team and could be a big reason why they go on a run once again.
Yeah, team leading 19 points per game, averaging nearly 7 rebounds per game, shooting 42% from 3. And it's not like she shot 55. She's 23 of 55, 42% from 3. She has been a revelation. And yeah, like I said, that's where I was going to go. And before I started talking about Miles, but she has been an incredible player to watch in the early going, and really makes this team that much stronger, to have somebody that can consistently go out there and score in a multitude of ways. Um, she's a dynamic player in Marta Suarez. Been fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a ton of other players like, Clara Silva's been super, super big, and Taylor Bigby's had some really good games as well. Maddie Shear, I don't think is maybe impacted as much as we would have thought, but she's been a constant, productive presence on the court. So it's definitely I'd say a deeper team than last year in terms of people that Mark Campbell can rotate in and out and feel confident that they're going to be able to put up some good minutes. I mean, because at the end of last year, he was running like a 6-7 rotation. Oh gosh, I did it, didn't I?
You did. I was gonna let it slide this time.
6 or 7 people. I don't even know how to avoid that.
Yeah, you just can't. It's inevitable.
6 to 8.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Which is not true. Actually, there was not 8 people coming into the game for TCU at the end of last year. But
I mean, they ran the starting 5, and then who would come off the bench? I'm totally blanking here.
Was it Roberson?
Yeah, Roberson, because Bigby stopped. I think she wasn't playing as frequently, because was it Donovan? No, Donovan Hunter wasn't.
No, she
Because
was
it was Van Lith, Connor,
We can look this
Emma
up.
Nopu, Hunter, and Sedona Prince.
It was
But
Bigby and Roberson that would come off, and then Deja Merrill sometimes when Sedona would get into foul trouble.
so I mean, but yeah, essentially it was 7 players, but now they have multiple players. I mean, you mentioned Maddie Shear. She's second on the team in assists, and she leads the Big 12 with a 4.25 assist to turnover ratio. Shout out to Nikki G. He is carrying me through this episode. I've referred to his tweets multiple times. But she's also been a really good secondary distributor behind Olivia Miles, who has 63 total assists, by the way. Maddie Shear has 34, who's second. But she's been a really good distributor as well. And yeah, multiple players. And then again, like you mentioned, the leap from Donovan Hunter has been fun to watch. Last year, she was their best defender, really grew as the season progressed. And now she's taking on a lot larger role, and she's grown and taken off with it. A career high 21 points yesterday, in the win over Incarnate Word. So it's good. Obviously her defense is great. She's a good passer, and it's been fun to watch. She's put in a lot of work. They've mentioned it on the broadcast. Really hardworking player, and it's growing into one of TCU's best players.
Yeah, she's awesome.
We've been on the Donovan Hunter hype train for a little while now.
Yeah.
So it's been cool to see it kind of take off like this.
For sure. For real. Good basketball team, don't you say?
It's a really good team. I mean, they stack up well with some of the top teams in the country. They're number one in the Big 12 in the AP poll, just a couple spots ahead of Iowa State. So, I mean, really, the non-conference schedule. Let's take a look here. I mean, this isn't really too. There's nothing crazy. They only have 3 more games. They take on UTEP on Saturday, and then a couple more, and then they open up conference play with Kansas State. So ideally, you go into conference play undefeated and you get this thing rolling, and that's when the real competition starts to heat up.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Gotta get through these. I have confidence that they'll do so.
Yeah, they've taken care of business. They've that is one thing that they have not done, and especially at home. What is it? I think 30 consecutive home wins. I think they've lost 1 time at home under Mark Campbell.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me.
I could be totally wrong.
I don't know if the 1 time under Mark Campbell is right, but
Or in non-conference play.
In non-conference, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, they've taken care of business at home. They have really been a formidable team to play against. And I think he's an incredible coach, and he's totally revolutionized this program.
Yes. All that and more.
Okay, wait, it does say 30 straight in Schollmeyer.
Yeah, 30 straight, but like not
like in non-conference
and home and in conference, but like not. You said that he'd only lost 1 time.
Oh yeah. Because they've lost like multiple conference games that year.
In 23,
they got injured. Yeah,
they lost some.
But at the end of the day, this is a really good team. We're excited to see where they'll go, and we'll break it all down in the coming weeks when it relates to TCU men's and women's basketball. One side note, it was signing day for football yesterday.
Yep.
Seth, I don't, with recruiting, I don't know ball.
You don't know ball?
Your cat does, though,
Toby's here.
Toby wants to offer his input.
I'll say this about the TCU class. You know, could have been better, could have been worse. It wasn't a super average recruiting class. And also, like, I'll just say this as well. Baylor had a really bad day yesterday, and we're not them, so that's great.
Baylor had a rough day. Colorado, we were just talking about this before we started recording. Colorado's at the bottom, 16th in the Big 12.
Yeah, is Dion phoning it in? Some are saying.
I don't know, but
who would you like? What if you were at Colorado? Would you do the Dion hire again? I would.
I would, because it brought, at the very least, it brought back any life. It brought any life that football did not have in the past, and it brought them attention. And on the field, well, it gave you 1 winning season, but
he didn't like that I did that. If you're not watching right now, you're missing a show.
Yeah, it's
not watching on the
if
YouTube,
you're listening, you are missing out on Toby just infiltrating Believe in TCU
once again. Happens once a month. Yeah, I'd do it again.
I would. Produced Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter. They wouldn't have come to Colorado if it wasn't for that.
No.
But I think that the clock is ticking.
Yeah, we'll see. if this isn't like a banger of a transfer portal class, we'll see.
Yeah,
which it could be.
could
Who
be.
knows? Could be a banger.
Could be.
That's kind of my rationale around TCU. TCU's football team is I will wait to withhold judgment about this recruiting class until we hear like, okay, what are we doing in the portal? Because if they save their money, go full on portal, it could be a pretty good team next year. So we'll just have to see how that all goes. But TCU finished 7th in the Big 12, according to 24/7 in recruiting. That's a little misleading because West Virginia finished 3rd and they had like 100 commits or whatever, and like 40 of those they had 45 and 41 of them were 3 stars. TCU finished 1 spot behind Houston in the Big 12. Houston signed Keyshawn Henderson, who was the number 1 player in the country. That signing alone elevates that class quite a bit. And then Baylor, I believe, finished 13th or 14th in the Big 12. They had a really bad day. They had a couple of kids flip yesterday, a couple of kids flip before that. They had their top player flip to Texas, which caused quite a reaction from the Baylor folks.
It did. And so we'll take that. But welcome, new recruits to Fort Worth. Glad to have you here.
Very excited.
Very, very happy. Yeah. And hopefully can make some contributions on the field here in the near future. But that'll finish things up here for our TCU basketball recap of what's been going on in non-conference play. You can follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube page, or listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, all at Believe in TCU. You can also follow Seth and I on Twitter for the latest updates on when episodes drop and all the TCU-related news. So for Seth Dowdle, I'm Zion Trammell. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. And as always, go Frogs.